Unsolved.
JonBenet Ramsey case, the trial of John Ramsey. Today we look back at the JonBenet murder and the trial of John Ramsey, and here we show you some of the highlights of the trial. Here's the prosecutor for the state, Nancy Drew's 3 main points. Ladies and gentlemen, John Ramsey knew where JonBenet's body was located that whole morning. And John made this knot on the cord attached to the paintbrush. And he conceived and authored this ransom note. It's full of his language. John Ramsey's defense had their own theory of what happened that night. JonBenet was either killed by some sicko who preys on children, or by someone as some kind of twisted act of revenge against John. Look at the facts. JonBenet suffered a massive blow to the head from some unknown object. The prosecution opened their case with a demonstration of the basement wine cellar door. So at the bottom right, you can see the hinge is on the outside because the door opens outward towards you. Okay, so this is going to represent that wine cellar door, right? And you'll notice that the door opens outward. And so it had that piece of wood up there, and then you turned it and it locked the door so you can't open it. And then here you turn it so you can open it. And then here, and then notice when you open the door, you kind of have to back up. And here you can see with this map the shape of the room and the location of JonBenet's dead body in the room. The prosecution called several witnesses, including Fleet White. On the morning of December 26, 1996, did you go to the Ramsey's house? Yes. Did you go into the Ramsey's basement that morning? Yes. What did you notice when you were in the basement? I found some of the lights on. I called out for JonBenet and looked for her. After looking around some time, I opened the wine cellar door and couldn't see anything. I tried to find the light switch but couldn't, and I eventually went back upstairs to the living room. When you opened the wine cellar door, did you see JonBenet's body? No. Did you see the white blanket? No. Why not? There was no light in the room other than some small light behind me. Most of the room is to the left, and it was dark. And John Ramsey took the stand in his own defense. I pulled on the door. It was latched. I reached up and unlatched it, and then I saw the white blanket. How quickly did you see the blanket? Instant. I mean, as soon as I opened the door, I saw the white blanket, and I knew. I just saw a blanket, and I knew that was our. And then testimony was entered into the case about that knot on the cord. Fleet White would tend to panic a bit. One time we were sailing, we had come in, we just crossed Lake Michigan. It was 30, 40 knots. And we dropped our sail and we floated right in. And here we are, about 40 knots from land and no power. And so Fleet started screaming at these boats passing us, "Throw us a line, throw a line." But if we had just thought a little bit, there's a lot of things we could have done. We could have put the sail back up. We could have thrown out an anchor. We could have tried to get the line undone, but Fleet just immediately started screaming for help. So you're not one to panic in stressful situations, and you're good at thinking on your feet, yes? At one point, the case took a strange turn as John Ramsey gave testimony about the duct tape on JonBenet's mouth. Well, as I recall, it was black. It was like a little larger than electrical tape in width, and it struck me as I thought about it later as the kind of tape you might use in sailing to wrap around the stanchion or something. Well, it's just it wasn't a tape that looked familiar to me, or it looked like it wasn't torn. It was cut perfectly, literally. It fit her mouth. It was black. It was wider than electrical tape, but not as wide as duct tape. I mean, I know what duct tape is. It wasn't duct tape. Just thinking about it later, where do you get this kind of tape? It's a little wider, and I've seen it in white before. It's kind of a utility tape that you can use on a sailboat in boating. And we had some. And there's white. Something that they wrapped around rough edges, the stanchion, so that the sail doesn't catch it and tear. It was just kind of a wider utility tape. I don't remember if we had any black or not, but certainly white. Who wrote that? No. We still have a tip line that we monitor every day. The justice system is a government organization and hence should be looked at with some degree of skepticism. Not really. Patsy is not that kind of person. She frankly brought home a lot of stray dogs. But I'm 99.9% I would have taken it all the way back and set it against the wall. And got it 95% done. And that was 98% of the time how I got into the house. 95% of the time we came up and down that stairway. We never got comfortable that there was anything going on but 100% focus on the Ramseys. I don't know that it was 100% for her for a while. I'm not 100% certain I would have. The prosecution tries to make hay out of Ramsey wanting to leave town shortly after finding JonBenet's dead body. Detective Mason asks me what our plans are. I tell him we will go to Atlanta. He says something about staying around for a few days, and I agree. At 1:30 p.m., just 25 minutes after JonBenet's body was found, John Ramsey called Archuleta again at his home. Then he told Archuleta to ready the plane for a flight to Atlanta that evening. Fleet White then called Archuleta at 3 p.m. to say that the trip to Atlanta was canceled. Please subscribe to this channel. Well, this ends this episode of Unsolved, and I had high ambitions for this episode, and it got cut short a little bit. So I'll see you next weekend.